I would like to draw your attention to a crucial democratic principle. A strong opposition is the lifeline of democracy. History shows that nations do not collapse when power is gained, but when power goes unquestioned. Democracy is not sustained by the strength of one party or one ideology. It survives through the harmony of many voices. Its beauty lies in balance between authority and accountability, between power and restraint. And the force that preserves this balance is the opposition. If democracy is a living body, then the opposition is its breath. When that breath weakens, democratic life slowly fades. Abraham Lincoln captured the soul of democracy when he defined it as government of people, by the people and for the people. This timeless definition reminds us that democracy is not the privilege of rulers alone, but a trust placed by the citizens in all their elected representatives, those who govern and those who question governance. Democracy rests upon the supremacy of the Constitution, the rule of law, and the accountability of power. Its spirit lies not merely in elections, but in equality before law, freedom of expression, protection of right, and respect for dissent. Respected audience, the opposition, therefore, is not an outsider or an obstacle. It is also elected by the people and draws legitimacy from the same ballot that forms the government, constitutionally empowered to question the executive, scrutinize legislation, and present alternatives. The opposition ensures that power remains limited and responsible. When opposition is weakened, marginalized, or denied real influence, democracy begins to drift quietly but dangerously towards monarchical behavior, even while retaining democratic levels. The reality is visible in several countries that claim democracy but practice permanence of power. In Russia, elections are held, yet one individual has remained in the center of authority for decades, while opposition is systematically blocked from real governance. Turkey, though constitutionally democratic, has witnessed prolonged leadership, shrinking space for opposition, and increasing centralization of power. These are not monarchies in law, but they function like modern political monarchies, where leadership appears permanent and opposition remains symbolic. North Korea represents the extreme end, where elections merely legitimize dynastic rule. These examples prove that when opposition cannot realistically come to power, democracy survives only in name. My beloved brothers, India's democracy stands on diversity, constitutional wisdom, and public participation. Yet today, many citizens quietly ask, is our democracy as balanced as it should be? Is the opposition strong enough to question, correct, and guide? India has not crossed into authoritarianism. Elections remain competitive, courts active, and civil society vocal. However, the numerical weakness and fragmentation of opposition in parliament has reduced legislative scrutiny, narrowed debate, and increased centralization of authority. India stands at a constitutional crossroads, democratic in structure, but increasingly dependent on the revival of opposition strength to preserve democratic depth. To understand democratic balance, we may look to the United Kingdom, where the opposition is constitutionally dignified through the shadow cabinet system. Every minister faces a prepared alternative. The opposition functions as a government in waiting, ensuring that power remains accountable and temporary. British democracies are strong not because leaders rule long, but because leadership remains replaceable. Dear audience, the remedy for India lies in reviving a strong, principled, and responsible opposition, one that does not obstruct blindly but questions wisely, one that does not seek power for itself but balance for the nation. It must praise what is right and resist what is harmful, and use the constitution as its shield, reason as its weapon, and public welfare as its purpose. A nation where the government is powerful and the opposition is respected does not merely function, it matures, corrects itself, and progresses. Here, I wrap up my speech with a message that's been a great experience to share my views with you all wonderful people. Thank you so much and have a great day. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
لا كررنا هذا لغاية خارج من جرة इधर ये इधर वो दिमाग और खराब हो रहा है उससे बेहतर ये कि ना